Today we are going to be taking a look at dry tops. Specifically, we're going to be looking at GORE-TEX PRO Dry Tops. So some of you may already know that in the past, Kokatat was the only manufacturer who had the rights to GORE-TEX Pro. Sweet Protection was making stuff with GORE-TEX Pro overseas, but they have stopped. And so now we've got NRS coming into the game, and they have a dry top as well as 2 dry suits made with GORE-TEX Pro. In the past, the Rogue, which is what we have here, was the Kokatat top of the line dry top. That has been replaced with the Ohm dry top here, and NRS has come out with the Rev. I have paddled both the Rev and the Ohm about 6 times each now, and so I feel like I've gotten a pretty good sense of them to be able to speak to some of the pros and cons, kind of help you make a decision. And while we're on that subject, we're just going to take a look at what's changed from the Rogue. All of them are made with GORE-TEX Pro, but GORE-TEX is always sort of evolving their materials, and it's very obvious to me just checking out the Rogue that the material has really seen an upgrade when it comes to GORE-TEX Pro. One other thing while we're on the subject of material is reflectivity. The Rogue actually seems like it's the best of the 3. It's got a lot of piping that runs all the way down the arm and then across the forearm, and then as well on the back. With the Ohm, I really couldn't find any. I'm not sure that it has any reflectivity anywhere on it. Rev has reflective patches here on the waist, and then the logo is reflective, which you get on the back and on the, I think, yeah, on both arms. GORE-TEX Pro is reflective here. So medium amount of reflectivity, none as far as I can tell, and then quite a bit here. As far as fit goes on these, I'm paddling a medium in all 3. Kokatat tops, I think, fit slightly better than the NRS top. I've noticed when I put the NRS top on, it's a little bit like wide and bulky in the chest, which maybe shouldn't be too surprising to me because I'm usually somewhere between a small and a medium. With the old cuffs, and this is the same way that my Icon dry suit is, they stitch, Kokatat stitches the wrist, but for whatever reason, they were not stitching the neck. It was just cut, and it results in it fraying like crazy. You probably can't see it here, but it's got a bunch of fraying going on, and it just like looks really junky. So that has been fixed. The Ohm now has stitched wrists and neck, and the Rev does as well. When it comes to the cuffs, I honestly think the NRS suit is the nicest one of the group. All of the cuffs are kind of like sticky backed material, like it's a neoprene that's a little bit sticky on the back. The Kokatat ones are not like that. And the other thing is the NRS are tighter and longer. So I noticed like the neck on the NRS fits nice and snug on my neck and prevents a lot of water from blasting down the neck. And then the same thing on the wrists. The wrists are a little bit longer and they fit nice and snug. All right, one more thing to consider is the waist. Pretty straightforward for Kokatat. They do a single draw cord. It's on the front. It's that way on the Rogue and on the Ohm. That's for the lower tunnel. The upper part has the Velcro closure, and the inside front is smooth. It's not sticky backed, but the back is sticky. On the Ohm, it's essentially the same thing. It's sticky on the back. It's not sticky on the front, but they did change the material, and it's kind of lighter and smoother. It's got little like puncture holes in it, so it's probably more breathable. Not really sure why that would matter since it's out on the front. The Rev, again, honestly, I think it beats both of these for how they're handling it. So it's got sticky back all the way around, not just on the back, but also on the front. The tabs on their tighteners are also really cool. Not only do they have that reflectivity on them, but the Velcro doesn't run all the way to the end. So the Velcro stops with just enough room for you to kind of grab it with your fingers. So when it's on there, you always have a little bit of a tab that you can grab onto. Another thing that I noticed is that on my Kokatat tops, I have a pretty small waist. I'm like a 31. I have to pull these closures so that they actually overlap each other. So I usually do one high and one low before I can get that waist tight. And on the NRS one, it's not that way at all. They're actually apart from each other, like probably almost 6 inches. So plenty of room there to snug that up, which is kind of ironic since it's like there's a lot of room for me up in the chest. but then it's nice and snug down in the waist. The other thing that is worth pointing out, this is kind of a ding on the Rev, though not a huge deal, is that the shock cord, for whatever reason, they made it extremely long. Like, I honestly don't know what they were doing. I have tied it into a loop here to try to take up the slack because it was just so ridiculously long. So like, this is basically set up where I have it, and there's, you know, a good 12, 18 inches of extra shock cord there. Like, I have no idea what anybody's gonna do with that. It's got a nice little pull tab on it, but I'm probably just gonna trim this off. The Rev has a pocket over here on the right-hand chest. It's fairly small. The Ohm has a pocket over here on the left arm. The Rogue has like this ridiculously huge pocket. It's all the way here. It's the entire chest area. So the thing is, when you're wearing these, you've got a PFD on, and for me, like, this is doing nothing. Like, I'm never gonna put anything in there behind my PFD. For me, the Ohm with the pocket on the arm is probably the best option. I don't think you're putting much more than like a couple small items or maybe a bar or something in there. I keep most of that stuff in my vest, honestly, and don't really put anything in these anyway. I'd be fine probably with no pocket at all. And then while we're on that subject, we can look at how drainage works on these. So drainage works up high on the Rev. This is a totally separate area. On the Ohm, again, we've got a drainage right up high. Here, because they put this big pocket in, they actually had it open all the way down to here. And it's got the meshy material that's making the pocket all the way behind it. So not the best solution. I think they've improved that. With the Rev, we have two color choices. We have this green, it's kind of like a yellow and an olive, and then they also do a red. This one's okay, I do like it. It's bright, which can, you know, be helpful on the river. One thing I did notice is like, it does kind of get dirty easily. I was able to clean it up, but I had my like arm kind of on some mossy rocks and stuff, and it left a lot of residue. So the super bright colors, you know, that's maybe just the downside of them, is that they tend to show a little bit of dirt. With the new Ohm, we've got 3 color choices instead of 2. The first color choice is actually very similar to this one. It's kind of a yellow and olive. Then they've got this blue in addition to red. So essentially we get the same 2 that are here, plus this blue. I've gotten a lot of compliments on this. It's like a nice, bright, popping blue. I really do like that one. All right, let's take a quick look at the back. So on the NRS, we just get a nice little NRS brand here with a reflectivity on it. So that's a nice touch. On the Kokatat, the Ohm, we get nothing. And on the Rogue, we had a logo up here. I actually would prefer that they would have done something like this because A, this is reflective, and B, I have already put this thing on backwards once.
You're an idiot.
So I'm more careful now when I'm going to put it on, but there aren't a lot of cues to help you know what the front and the back are. So if you're not paying attention, you can put it on backwards. These pull tabs are basically what you can use to know which is the front and which is the back, other than the pocket, which you would just have to remember then is on your left arm. So not a huge deal. Now I just pay attention to these when I'm putting it on. But the NRS gets a win for the wrist drains as well. It's wide, it's like wider than my thumb and really open. It drains super well. Whereas both of these Kokatat tops, it's skinny, like it's skinnier than my pinky finger. It's about a pencil width. I honestly didn't even realize that their dry suits and dry tops had this drainage because I would always get water up there and I'd have to kind of pull the cuff and drain the water back out, or I'd feel it sloshing around. And only when I saw the NRS one did I then peek and realize, oh wow, the Kokatat ones have a drain too. It just kind of never works. So NRS, I would say, is twice as wide at least as, yeah, it's 2 to maybe 3 times wider than the Kokatat. So they win as far as drainage goes on the bottom there. Okay, one other thing is the gaskets. NRS gets the win in my opinion because they make 3 sizes of gaskets. They don't just make 2. Kokatat, everything is either a small or a large. When you buy a medium dry top, you get large wrist, large neck. Personally, I prefer a small wrist, so when I replace them, which I've done on the Rogue, I put smalls on there. These larges have been fine, probably just because they're so fresh. And the large neck has been fine, and that's what I usually wear. In the NRS, you get a medium neck and a medium wrist with the medium dry top, which is pretty nice. It's worth mentioning that the neck on the NRS suits is noticeably different from Kokatat. It's only tight for about half the distance that the Kokatat ones are. So in other words, it's like maybe an inch on your neck is tight, where Kokatat's got like probably 2 inches on your neck that's tight before it starts to sort of like taper out. I've actually used it now on my Icon, my Kokatat Icon, and it worked fine. And I did that because I wanted to get a smaller neck, but the small Kokatat was too small. And at first I was really worried because it pulled on really easy because it is so short that it's snug. But in general, it's been pretty good. Kokatat should take a cue, in my opinion, and start doing a small, medium, and a large. NRS rolled out with a higher price than Kokatat, which kind of blew my mind. NRS is generally known for, you know, quality products at reasonable prices. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. They're using the highest level material that's out there, but we're at like about $540, I believe, for the Ohm, and we're at $575 for the Rev. So two very high-end GORE-TEX Pro Dry Tops. Which one am I gonna choose? You know, I bought both of these with the expectation that I would try them out and end up selling whichever one I didn't like the most. And I'm honestly totally torn at this point on what that would be. The Rev is probably my favorite overall, but there are some things I like about the Kokatat. Like, I like the color better on this, and I think it will look good for longer. This one I think is gonna end up looking a bit dirty, but here we've got that nice drainage, we've got really nice cuffs. They did a better job on the waist, the way it cinches, and I don't have to overlap them, and I can easily open them with those little flaps. They've got some reflectivity, where here we've got none. So I don't really know which way I'm gonna go, to be honest with you. I'm gonna keep paddling both for a while, and maybe some other things will come to light that'll help me make my decision. But in the end, I guess what I'm saying is I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these dry tops. They are really quality, and I think you'll be happy basically whichever way you decide to go. And there's our obligatory count Cameo. County, do you have anything to say? Oh. All right, hope that helps everybody out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the river.